Northern Italy. April 15th, 1945. Corporal James Mitchell pushed open the steel door of the communications bunker and found her collapsed against the concrete wall. Her uniform hung like a tent on a frame that weighed perhaps 90 pounds. Her skin stretched tight over bone. Her eyes sunken, glassy tracked his movement with the slow awareness of someone too exhausted to feel fear. She tried to stand, tried to salute. Her legs buckled and she dropped back against the wall, breathing in shallow gasps. Mitchell knelt beside her, uncapped his canteen, and held it to her cracked lips. "Easy now," he said in broken German. "You're mine now, under my protection. Nobody's going to hurt you." Before we continue, if you're enjoying stories like this, real history, real people, extraordinary moments, hit that like button and subscribe. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. These stories matter. They remind us what humanity looks like, even in war's darkest hours. Mitchell didn't know it yet, but those 4 words, "You're mine now," would echo across decades. They would shape a life. They would teach a lesson no military manual could provide. That mercy isn't weakness. That promises, even to enemies, are worth keeping. And that sometimes the most important victories happen in moments no one else sees. Act 1. The bunker. The war in Italy was ending in fragments. German forces retreated north toward the Alps, leaving behind pockets of resistance that dissolved like salt in rain when Allied patrols appeared. Most surrendered without firing a shot. Some vanished into civilian populations. A few held positions out of discipline, confusion, or the simple inability to imagine what else to do. Communication Station Zeta 15 was one of the forgotten ones. Built into a hillside 10 miles outside Boulogne, reinforced with steel and camouflage netting, it had once coordinated radio traffic for German forces across the region. Now those forces were gone. The network had collapsed. The station's personnel, 7 people, were stranded, 5 male radio operators, 1 female cipher specialist, 1 female auxiliary clerk named Katharina Becker. For 3 weeks they debated surrender. The commanding sergeant, Klaus Weber, gathered everyone in the bunker on April 12th. His face was gray with exhaustion. "We have food for 3 more days," he said. "No ammunition, no orders. The radio's been silent for a week. The Americans are 6 miles south. We need to decide." "Surrender," said Franz Lyman, the youngest operator. "What else is there?" "Prison camps in America," another replied. "We'll be gone for years. Better than starving here." They argued for hours. Katharina and Ilse, the cipher specialist, sat against the wall and listened. They had no vote. Their presence was barely acknowledged in discussions about fate and honor and survival. Weber finally decided, "We destroy the equipment. We surrender at dawn." But dawn brought no Americans. Neither did the next day, or the day after. By April 15th, they were eating the last of their rations hard biscuits that tasted like cardboard, tinned meat from 1942 that barely qualified as food. Katharina felt herself weakening. She was 26, from a small town near Stuttgart, educated enough to work communications, but not essential enough to be evacuated when things collapsed. She'd lost 30 pounds in 3 months. Her uniform hung like a shroud. Her hair had started falling out. Her periods had stopped. She wasn't dying yet, but she was approaching the threshold. "We should just walk out," she said to Ilse that afternoon. "Find the Americans ourselves? Weber won't allow it." He's afraid they'll think we're trying to escape. That they'll shoot? So we wait here until we starve?" Ilsa had no answer. Corporal James Mitchell was 24, from Cleveland, Ohio. He'd landed at Anzio, fought through the Gothic line, survived longer than probability suggested he should. On April 5th, 10th, his squad was on patrol, clearing abandoned German positions, checking buildings that were mostly empty. Around 3 in the afternoon, they approached a hillside where intelligence suggested a communication station might be located. "Probably empty," said Private Danny Cohen. "Everything else has been." Mitchell nodded. They found the bunker entrance camouflaged with branches. The steel door was closed but unlocked. Mitchell pushed it open slowly, rifle ready. He heard voices, German voices, frightened, intense. He called out in phrase book German, "American soldiers, come out, hands visible. We will not harm you. Silence." Then movement. The door opened wider. Sergeant Weber emerged, hands raised, face resigned. "We surrender," he said in accented English. 7 personnel, no weapons. 5 men filed out. Then 2 women. The second woman, blonde, skeletal, stumbled as she crossed the threshold. She tried to catch herself, failed, collapsed onto the gravel. Mitchell moved without thinking. He handed his rifle to Cohen, knelt beside her, checked for injuries. Her pulse was rapid and weak. Her skin was cold, despite the afternoon warmth. Her eyes had the glassy quality of advanced starvation. "Jesus Christ," Cohen muttered. "She's dying." Mitchell opened his canteen, lifted her head carefully, brought water to her lips. "Drink slowly, small sips." She drank desperately, choking. He pulled the canteen back. "Easy now," he said, switching to German. "You're mine now, under my protection." "Nobody's going to hurt you." The other Germans tensed. Weber stepped forward. "Relax," Cohen interrupted in better German than Mitchell possessed. "He means she's under U.S. military custody, standard procedure. Not anything else." Mitchell didn't notice the confusion. His attention was on the woman whose pulse felt like a bird's wings under his fingers. "What's her name?" he asked Weber. "Becker. Katharina Becker. Auxiliary Communications. She's been here 3 months." Mitchell lifted her carefully. She weighed almost nothing. He carried her to the jeep parked 50 meters down the road, laid her on the back seat, covered her with his jacket. Cohen climbed into the passenger seat. "You going to get in trouble for this?" "For what? Taking a sick prisoner to medical attention? That's protocol, for the way you're treating her. Like she's wounded, not captured." Mitchell glanced in the rearview mirror. Katharina's eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow. "She is wounded," he said. "Starvation's a wound. She needs treatment same as anyone else." Act 2. The aid station, the battalion aid station, was set up in a commandeered farmhouse, staffed by 2 doctors and 4 medics who'd been treating combat casualties for months and were exhausted by it. When Mitchell carried Katharina through the door, the duty medic, Sergeant Paul Rivera, barely glanced up. "Wounded? Starving prisoner. Needs immediate attention." Rivera looked more carefully. His expression shifted from boredom to concern. "Christ, put her on that cot." Mitchell laid her down gently. Rivera began examination vitals, injuries, assessing malnutrition. "How long has she been like this?" "Don't know. Found her at an abandoned station. They'd been cut off for weeks." Rivera shook his head. "She's maybe 90 pounds. Severe protein deficiency. Dehydration. Probably anemic. We need to feed her, but slowly or we'll cause more damage." He looked at Mitchell. "Go back to your unit." "We'll handle her?" Mitchell hesitated. Something in him resisted leaving. He'd found her. He'd told her she was under his protection. That meant something. "I'd like to stay," he said. "Make sure she's all right." Rivera raised an eyebrow. "You got a thing for German prisoners?" "I got a thing for finishing what I start." Rivera studied him, then shrugged. "Fine. Sit in that corner. Don't interfere." Hours passed. The aid station treated other patients' minor injuries, infections, exhaustion. Mitchell sat in his corner, watching Katharina sleep fitfully, occasionally stirring, but never fully waking. Around 6 in the evening, Rivera brought thin chicken stock with tiny pieces of vegetable. He woke Katharina gently. "You must eat." Small amounts, slowly. She woke confused, frightened. Rivera supported her, brought the bowl to her lips. She drank eagerly, too eagerly. "Slow," Rivera insisted, pulling the bowl back. "Too fast and you'll vomit." Mitchell stood, moved closer. "Let me," he said. Rivera looked skeptical, but handed him the bowl. Mitchell knelt beside the cot. "Katharina," he said, using her first name without thinking, "you need to drink this slowly. I know you're hungry, but if you drink too fast, it'll make you sick. Understand?" She looked at him, really looked at him. Her eyes were gray, sunken, but intelligent, aware. "You are the soldier," she said in heavily accented English. "From the bunker?" "Yes, I brought you here to get help." "Why? Why help enemy?" Mitchell thought about his answer. "Because you needed help. Because the war's almost over. Because you're a person. I am prisoner." "You're both," Mitchell said. "Right now you're a prisoner who needs food. Here." Small sips. He held the bowl while she drank, pulling it back when she tried to drink too fast, waiting while she caught her breath, then offering it again. The process took 30 minutes. She finished maybe half before exhaustion claimed her. Rivera watched from across the room. When Mitchell stood, Rivera approached. "You got a gentle touch, Mitchell. Just seemed like she needed patience. Most guys wouldn't bother, would figure she's enemy. She deserves whatever she gets." "Most guys are wrong," Mitchell replied simply. Evening turned to night. The aid station quieted. Mitchell stayed. He told himself it was duty, responsibility, completing the commitment he'd made. But sitting in the dark, watching her sleep, he acknowledged something more complicated. She reminded him of his sister, similar age, similar intelligence in her eyes. Helping her felt necessary in ways that transcended orders. Around midnight, she woke crying out, "Nightmare." Mitchell moved to her side. "You're safe. You're in an American aid station. No one will hurt you." She looked at him, disoriented. "Where am I?" "Medical facility." "You collapsed?" "We're treating you. The others, they're fine. Being processed as prisoners. They'll be sent to a camp. You too, once you're strong enough." She absorbed this. "America? We will go to America?" "Probably. It's safe there. You'll be treated fairly. The propaganda said Americans have no mercy." "Propaganda lied about a lot of things," Mitchell said. "We treat prisoners according to the Geneva Convention. Food, shelter, medical care, fair treatment." "You are kind," she said quietly. "When you said you're mine now, the others thought you meant something bad." "But I understood. Protection." Mitchell felt embarrassed. "Yeah. Sorry if it was confusing. I meant you were under custody. Safe from harm. Thank you," Katharina said. "For the food, for the care, for seeing me as person, not enemy. You're welcome." They sat in silence while darkness pressed against the windows. "What will you do?" she asked. "When war ends, go home?" "Back to the factory. Maybe get married. Try to forget as much of this as I can. And me? What will I do? Whatever you want. Rebuild. Find your family. Live your life. If anyone hires women who served, they will," Mitchell said with more confidence than he felt. "Germany will need workers. Everyone who survived will need to rebuild. You are optimist. I'm practical. Vengeance doesn't work. Mercy works better." Katharina studied his face. "Does it? Does history show mercy?" "Sometimes," Mitchell said, "when people choose it." Act 3, the promise kept. On the third day, orders came. All prisoners were to be moved to a collection point near Florence, then shipped to camps in the United States. Processing had to be fast. The war was ending. Captain Friedman pulled Mitchell aside. "Your prisoner is stable. She goes tomorrow. Will she be all right?" Mitchell asked. "That's no longer your concern. You saved her life, but she's a prisoner, and you have other duties." Mitchell hesitated. "Sir, I want to escort her." "Why?" Friedman asked. Mitchell couldn't fully explain, only that he'd promised her safety. Friedman sighed. "Fine. Escort her, then return immediately." The next morning, Mitchell drove Katharina through a countryside, struggling back to life-repaired buildings, replanted fields. She sat wrapped in a blanket, clutching her few belongings. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "Anything is after a bunker." After a long silence, she asked, "When you said you're mine now, did you mean you'd protect me?" "Yes," he said. "I meant it." At the collection point, an old barracks crowded with German prisoners. Mitchell explained her condition to the sergeant, who barely listened. "She'll be fed and checked." "She'll be fine." "She needs careful feeding," Mitchell insisted. "We'll handle it. You're dismissed." Katharina faced him. "Thank you for seeing me as human, for keeping your word. Find your family," he said. "Be happy. And you, go home. Forget war." He wanted to say more, but couldn't. He walked back to the jeep and drove away. Katharina watched until he vanished, carrying the memory of an enemy soldier who chose mercy. Epilogue. The Echo. Katharina spent 3 weeks at the collection point, then sailed from Naples with hundreds of other prisoners. After landing in Norfolk, she was processed and sent to Camp Ruston, Louisiana, a vast, orderly city of the defeated. Conditions were decent, food adequate, but the boredom heavy. She worked in the camp office, her education making her useful. She often thought of Mitchell, his patience, his kindness, the way he insisted she was human. In September 1945, the Red Cross informed her that her parents had survived. Her brother had died in Russia, and her sister had married an American. The next month, she wrote an unusual letter to Corporal James Mitchell. "Thank you for saving my life, and for giving me back a belief I thought lost, that mercy exists even in war. When you said, 'You're mine now,' I understood it meant protection. You kept that promise. I will remember always." Mitchell, back home in Cleveland and newly engaged, received the letter in early 1946 and replied, "I didn't do anything special. I just treated you like a human being. Meeting you reminded me that even in war, people remain people. Build a good life. Be happy." They exchanged letters for 2 years. He married. She was repatriated to Germany, reunited with her parents, and began rebuilding. Their correspondence slowed. The final letter arrived in 1952. She was pregnant and had named her husband in Mitchell's honor Jacob, meaning protector. Mitchell never answered, uncertain how to express what he felt, but he kept the letter in his desk. In 1985, 40 years after the war, a young German man knocked on his Cleveland door. "I'm Jacob Richter," he said. "My mother asked me to find you." He handed Mitchell a final letter from Katharina. "I lived a good life. I tried to be worthy of the mercy you showed me. I never forgot your words. You're mine now. They meant protection, responsibility, humanity. Thank you for treating me with dignity when cruelty was easier." Mitchell wept quietly as Jacob and his wife sat beside him. "She built very well," he finally said. "If she raised you, she built very well indeed." James Mitchell died in 1998 at 77. Among his belongings, his children found letters from Katharina Becker and a notebook of memories. One 1975 entry read, "I've been thinking about Katharina finding her in that bunker, telling her she was under my protection. It felt ordinary then, but now I see it shaped everything I believe. She was enemy, I was victor, yet I chose mercy not from heroism, but because she was human. That's the only part of the war I'm proud of. Wars end when individuals choose decency." In 2019, a historian uncovered their correspondence and published excerpts. Few noticed except Jacob Richter, Katharina's son. He shared more letters and helped organize a small commemoration in Cleveland, unveiling a plaque at Mitchell's old factory, in memory of James Mitchell, who proved that mercy and duty can coexist. Families, veterans, and historians attended. A former POW said, "Peace is built by people who resist dehumanization." Mitchell did. That's the victory that lasts. James Mitchell and Katharina Becker's story is small in the vastness of World War II, yet monumental for her. In a bunker, starving, she heard him say, "You're mine now," and it meant survival, dignity, and unexpected mercy. Mitchell saw only a person who needed help. No heroism, just decency. But decency was heroic. It meant seeing humanity in an enemy, keeping a promise no one expected him to keep. Katharina lived because of that choice. Generations existed because she survived. Wars truly end when individuals choose compassion over cruelty. One act of kindness. One promise kept. Humanity preserved.